everyone to the 2024 State of Industrial Networking Report. We are thrilled to have you with us today, so thank you for taking some time out of your day. My name is Olivia Vickers, and I'm the Commercial Marketing Leader for the Cisco Industrial IoT Business Unit, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Amar Ashakali and Daniel Domain from INS, and David Harris from Reverie today. Do you guys want to take a quick second to introduce yourselves?
Thank you, Olivia. My name is Amir. I am the Cisco Practice Lead at Industrial Networking Solutions. Over the past 20 plus years, we have worked with automation and control systems integrators, machine builders, and industrial customers in various industries. We've engaged with Cisco on developing Cisco architecture for manufacturing, water, wastewater, utilities, and distributed energy. We've engaged in conducting early field testing and also have worked with customers in different verticals to help write the Cisco validated designs. We work with Cisco to run Ignition on the edge devices and enable edge compute with cybersecurity on AI-enabled devices to unlock those features. Daniel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Amr. My name is Daniel Domain. No, I did not change my name to get into IT. It was fate. I'm really glad to be here with you all today. I'm one of the pre-sales engineers at Industrial Networking Solutions, specializing in the Cisco Industrial IoT portfolio. I've been in the IT industry for over 25 years and joined the INS team almost 3 years ago. My role here at INS is to assist and empower my customers and integrators by building and providing solutions and training in the OT space to help them further their industrial technology initiatives by giving them the proper tools to get the most out of their industrial networks. David, why don't you tell us about yourself and your role at Revere?
Hi, yes. Yeah, thanks, Daniel. I'm David Harris. I'm the Director of Engineering and Technology at Revere Control Systems, an industrial automation systems integrator. I support our OT networking and cybersecurity efforts for our different verticals like energy, mining, aggregate, cement, water, wastewater, and oil and gas. I have a decade of industrial experience from different perspectives, including end user, distribution, and system integration. Olivia, so excited to be here today to talk about this great survey and its findings.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely excited to have you guys here. So thank you so much. So let's, without further ado, dig in. Awesome. So very excited to talk about this survey with you. It's always exciting to hear from customers, and when you get to hear from 1,000 at once, it really produces a ton of great insights. What we try and do here at Cisco is to take an outside-in view and really listen to what's happening in the industry as best as we can. And this is a great vehicle to do that. With so much change and investment that we're seeing in the industrial networking space, we were hoping to take a pulse globally across a number of industries on what our customers are thinking in terms of their strategies, investment priorities, and how they are reviewing things. And one of the goals of this is that it helped a lot of our customers find meaningful insights from what was happening with their peers. We've had a ton of downloads on this report from customers just simply wanting to know what their peers are doing, thinking, planning, and strategizing, and that was another benefit of the report. We partnered with a third party, Sapio Research, to ensure the highest integrity of the report, and as such, it was conducted as a double-blind study. So all the data that you're seeing today came from a very independent lens, and the survey, as we mentioned, had an overwhelming response. We had over 1,000 industry professionals respond to the report across 17 countries and 20 industry sectors. We're very excited to share what they have to say. And with that, we'll go to the executive summary on the next slide and dive in. What we've tried to do here really is to jump into the biggest core 3 themes that we saw. We know a lot of folks are worried about OT, cybersecurity, and compliance. We're seeing a lot more interest in the integration of IT and OT departments working closer together, and of course, AI. AI is going to show up everywhere, and we're going to dig into that a little bit deeper in the presentation. Amr, how does this first statistic as far as cybersecurity compliance resonate with your customers?
Thank you, Olivia. Yeah, and thank you so much for having us. This report was spot on. When I reviewed the results from this report, you can see it is very much representative of what we're seeing in our work as well. So I'm not really surprised by these statistics considering the rise in cybercrime and the push from governmental agencies. It has become paramount to ensure that operational networks are secure from threats from internally and both externally. We're seeing an overwhelming response to this surge in cybercrime and in compliance requirements for our customers looking for network audits, security assessments. Large investments from our customers are adding layers of security to their industrial networks. So it's network security, data going east-west, data going north and south. Security measures are just not historically ever seen in this space, and that we're seeing today in the industrial space.
That's super valuable feedback. Thank you, Amr. And David, how does Reverie Controls see cybersecurity compliance within their practice as a controls integrator?
Thank you, Olivia. At Revere, we view cybersecurity compliance as a critical and integral part of the entire system lifecycle. Over the years, we've observed a significant upward trend across industries, with customers increasingly emphasizing the importance of securing their operational networks. These discussions often come in diverse contexts. Sometimes they involve collaboration with IT departments, and other times they are driven solely by the OT teams seeking expertise in securing those environments. Our approach to cybersecurity compliance goes beyond meeting baseline requirements. We focus on embedding security into the design, the implementation, and the maintenance of those control systems. This includes, standards like NIST and IEC, ISA 62443, and the Purdue model, which are best practices, for both the IT and the OT environments. Ultimately, we aim to serve as a trusted partner in enabling secure and efficient operations, whether through risk assessments, implementing secure architectures, or providing guidance on compliance requirements. Revere is committed to delivering solutions that prioritize both uptime and security.
Thanks, David. That definitely resonates. And Daniel, what about the disparity between IT and OT?
It's a good question, Olivia. Yeah, from our experience here at INS, we are still seeing a large number of IT and OT teams operate independently. The main focus of IT is connectivity and security, while the main focus of OT is uptime and productivity. That's not to say that security isn't important to OT and that productivity isn't important to IT, just the priorities are just a little bit different. However, we are seeing a trend of OT and IT needing to become more in step with each other to ensure that congruence and continuity across the organization. And from what we have seen here at INS, cybersecurity seems to be one of the main things that's pushing that needle.
And Daniel, did you expect to see that high of a percentage on the anticipated impact of AI?
Oh, another good question. Well, because of new advancements in AI, it doesn't surprise me at all that almost half expect an impact from AI over the next 5 years. I would venture to say, and this is just my opinion, that it could be as little as 2 or 3 years that we see an increased use of AI in the industrial space.
That's fantastic. Thank you all. As we look at the next slide, we also want to know what's currently standing between customers and growth. David, I'm curious from your perspective, what stands out to you when you see the top obstacles listed?
Yeah, most certainly. I would agree with those results and the data. We face this every day, whether it's candidates we're hiring internally or customers we work with. The first and third result of this slide really compound together and is pretty much the story of one of our steel customers. Our contact at this site is tasked with both the business and manufacturing sides of the network, which emphasizes the shortage of talent, right? Having mainly an IT background, he leans on us pretty heavily for security and uptime in his OT or process network. We're in discussions around external and internal visibility of the network right now.
Yeah, security is definitely a hot topic, and I'm excited to dig in with you on that further today. As we jump to the next slide, one of the big topics we continue to hear about is planning, especially as it relates to investing in operational technology. As I'm sure you know, what we're seeing right now in OT and operational networks is a lot of investment. And we've seen a lot of research that has cited this increase, most recently from analyst firms like ARC and Omdia, where I will shamelessly plug that Cisco is ranked right now #1 as a market leader. But more importantly, 2/3 of the companies that we talk to are increasing their spending in industrial networking. Amr, I know INS supports over 400 customers. Are you hearing an increase in spend around OT as well?
Yes, over the past few years, there's definitely been an uptick in spending from our customers on the OT side and in their industrial networks. We've seen quite a few customers wanting to update their industrial networks in an effort to address newer technologies, such as edge intelligence tools, new cybersecurity software, regulations that are being imposed on their governmental agencies, AI integrations that are quickly becoming a commonplace, software-defined networks, SD-WAN, and so many more areas of investment in connecting, optimizing, and securing those industrial networks. Today, you have more devices that are on the OT networks, collecting and passing more data than ever before, helping companies build data lakes, data warehouses for data analytics, AI, network health monitoring, data security, and visibility. You have to allocate those budgets for those initiatives, and we're definitely seeing that.
So what it sounds like is more, more, more. Daniel, what's your take on this?
Well, I believe in just speaking from my prior experience as a technology leader, organizations want to get to a point of not if our network can handle this or that new technology, but when do we want to implement a new technology that we know our network is already built to handle? They want to be able to say we can do it right now. Organizations not only want, but they need the stability of a secure and reliable network, both on the IT and OT sides of the house. So that's pretty much kind of what we're seeing here at INS, or that what we observe so far as OT spending is concerned.
It definitely sounds like having a trusted partner with experience on both sides of the house could really help. And as we transition in the next slide, we see quite a bit of diversity in where these dollars are going. And I think you know the question that probably relates back to where we started this conversation. Amr, for you, how does AI and cybersecurity fall into the top spending categories across the customers you're working with?
Man, gosh, when I look at this list, actually, I'm surprised we're not seeing a tie at the top 10 of all initiatives, all fighting for those dollars. I just had a call with one of the state CIOs for one of our states. He had 10 initiatives on his top 10 requirements for his team to focus on and address just this year. We know cybersecurity is making its case to get the top funding. Automation, modernization, strategic initiatives, they want their share of the funding. AI, machine learning, edge compute, they need their funding. You got cloud computing, robotics, they're all asking for their fair share of the budget.
It makes a ton of sense and definitely hear you on those shared priority challenges. And Daniel, what about all these regulations? So much is changing right now, especially in the OT space.
Right, exactly. Regulations requiring organizations to have a cybersecurity plan in place are also driving the outlay of funds toward implementing cybersecurity measures in many of these organizations, and the OT space is really no different. And of course, AI plays directly into this as AI is now being integrated into many cybersecurity software solutions and appliances like firewalls and routers and switches.
I definitely couldn't agree more with you. And as we look to the next slide, I think cyber came out strong in this report, and we see it in a number of these slides. It's been really telling to see how customers are viewing the challenge of keeping their industrial networks secure. As we look to these responses, David, do these surprise you? Are you seeing these with your customers as well?
I would say yes. This is both surprising and affirming. There's an ever increasing trend with cybersecurity requests from our customers. There is growing concern about cyber attacks that looms like a shadow over the networks we've built. And to see the next two areas, the lack of standardization across industrial infrastructure and managing multiple vendors and partners, this aligns with what we're seeing. These are huge pain points for our customers.
So, Amr, how do these customers address these two factors? How do they standardize their OT industrial networks and, to David's point, have to manage multiple vendors?
When I first got here at INS, one of the first things I learned from Joel Albert, our VP of Technical Services here at INS, do you have managed switches? And number two, are they SNMP enabled?
Yep.
From there, there's a multiple of platforms that are standard IT tools where you can monitor the network, but usually just the basics. You get much more visibility and capabilities with a vendor-specific network management software. But at least there's some options if you use multiple vendors. As an example, if you're using an all Cisco solution, you've got a Cisco Catalyst Center that is really ideal for that management platform and those extended networks. Cybervision, it's also a great tool that can help you gain visibility into the OT network and provide insights on what your network is doing.
And it's great to see that Cisco's decades of expertise in support of IT teams is also helping to drive some OT network conversions. We love to see that. As we go to the next slide and staying on that thread of cybersecurity, I think that one thing that really jumps out here is the dramatic increase in the importance of cybersecurity year over year. I think we've spoken a lot about why cyber matters, but Daniel, why do you believe cybersecurity is number one? And also, why now?
Well, as mentioned earlier, cyber attacks on organizations have become more commonplace as of late, and organizations are just trying to do whatever they can to protect themselves from cyber threats in any way that they can. And as we already touched upon, there are regulations that are also driving that push toward more secure networks. We have found that even some organizations that think their networks are, air gapped, are discovering vulnerabilities in those networks. This is also driving that spend on cybersecurity measures.
Do you think any of this is overhyped? Like, what's your experience here?
Well, let's be honest here. The reality is, and even NIST has said this, it isn't if your network gets attacked, it's actually when and what kind of cybersecurity measures are you going to have in place to mitigate that attack. And again, AI is directly involved in these solutions and integrated into a lot of cybersecurity software solutions and appliances. AI and machine learning is much faster than the human element in detecting and learning cyber attack patterns, helping to make AI a very important investment as well. But there's a flip side to that coin too. Keep in mind that AI can also be used for cyber attacks, so it's necessary for organizations to stay both diligent and vigilant when it comes to cybersecurity. Unfortunately, with the world we live in, it's pretty much a constant battle.
I couldn't agree more. And again, I just think it really enforces the benefit of having the right technology and also partners on your side as you start to work through this.
Definitely.
Transitioning into a real world example, Amr, what can you tell me about how you've seen this transpire with your customers?
Thank you, Olivia. Yes, this is a perfect example of how cybersecurity and compliance measures is on top of so many of our customers, probably all of our customers. As you know, we work with a lot of our partners, system integrators like Revere and David Harris. So we work through a lot of these uh, partners of ours and Cisco partners to support some of our customers. And one of them was a fairly large customer who approached us with a new directive from their CISO and their CIO to develop security policies across their organization. And across IT and OT environments, they lacked visibility, which results in lacking confidence. And you just don't want to be in that situation as the CISO. So how do you enforce those security policies without visibility, right? How do you ensure your production and operator safety is not jeopardized? They also had an internal audit for their own upcoming compliance that had identified some vulnerabilities.
I can imagine that trying to pass an audit without much visibility was quite the challenge.
Yeah, you just can't emphasize that enough. So we were able to work with them. We started a network assessment and an audit prior to their own internal audit. And we did a proof of concept with them on a solution using a Cisco IR routers, IE switches with CyberVision. It gave us all the visibility throughout their network, both north and south and east-west traffic from PLC to sensor level data at the packet level, provided on-site training for their OT and IT teams, including their field techs.
So I got to know, did it work? Did they pass the audit?
Yes, yeah, immediately reduced their security and ESG risk. It had a direct impact on their production, fully modernizing their applications at their wells with increased bandwidth all the way from field to production. Yeah.
Very cool. Love to hear a success story. As we go to the next topic, collaboration and bringing IT and OT closer together seems to have so much upside potential. We see a lot of promise there, but we still see quite a bit of independent operation from these two teams. Or again, how do you read this slide? Do you see an IT OT divide with your customers? And is there a good way to improve this?
And when I see this, there's so much on this topic here, right? And there's so much more to be considered. Over the past several years, most organizations have been working to merge their efforts of their IT and OT networks coming together. It's just not that simple, right? The term IT-OT convergence was coined. Yet OT networks have been around for decades before the IT networks came into this space. And today there's so many reasons for IT and OT teams to collaborate, of course. Standardization, cybersecurity, AI. But there's an argument like to having just a separate IT and OT network, and that just has to be recognized. Having a separate network brings controls of IP devices to their contractors, integrators, facility managers, control engineers. And when IT handles the OT network, the process controls contractors have to work on IT timeline, and within their skill set, it just doesn't always work.
I think there's definitely a lot to consider there for sure. And David, what does your experience say? Anything to offer on what these teams could do?
Yeah, thanks. If you remember, IT and OT have different priorities, but the same goals. These goals can be summed up by the CIA triangle, which is confidentiality, integrity, and access of the data. For IT, confidentiality is primary, but for OT, accessibility is priority. So it's opposite. So the goals are the same, but the priorities are different. And these two teams can work together. That's when we see a unified front against cyber threats. We see a holistic conversation around hardware and technology standards and the possibility of sharing resources across teams. Collaboration between the two teams sets up the organization for future growth of their networks and with adoption of technologies like AI.
I love the framework. So same goals, different priorities. What do you think would be most beneficial for these teams to do as they prepare for this? Is there something that IT and OT teams should be doing or on the lookout for a vendor or partner that they can work with to bridge the gap?
Absolutely. That's a great point, Olivia. It's clear that IT and OT must collaborate closely. And this is precisely what an OEM like Cisco can help, bridge the gap. Whether organizations are selecting a vendor or designing a security architecture, it's vital to prioritize solutions that promote integration and collaboration. A key strategy in adopting a common architecture that both IT and OT teams can work within. This not only fosters alignment, but also simplifies management, improves security, and enhances scalability. When both sides of the organization are using a unified framework, it reduces complexity, minimizes miscommunication, and ensures a cohesive security posture.
So, Amr, going a little bit deeper on this, has INS helped any organizations navigate the challenge of bringing the IT and OT teams a little bit closer together?
Yeah, on the next slide, you'll see one of our customers we have that we helped with was the large water wastewater utilities department in one of the metropolitan counties. They needed a security overhaul, automation to gather their sensor level data, getting pump insights and water safety metrics, predictive management and preventative maintenance, and remote monitoring. IT and OT both have strict guidelines and directives on these initiatives. Being a large utility in an urban setting, cyber threats were an issue from bad actors from around the globe. Safety of public health was in the hands of these two departments working together. I mean, just imagine, right? This is where you're trusting your municipality to provide you clean water, and this just cannot be compromised. So while we worked closely with the plant management to establish a path forward, we were able to work with the IT department led by the relationships with all of our Cisco accounts teams to ensure collaboration with both IT and OT teams. It just helped get everybody into the same room, get everybody on the same page, and work seamlessly together. While they had separate initiatives, budgets, titles, personalities, but it was easy. We were all able to collaborate in that common language, common goals, using common architectures and common standards. It just wouldn't have been possible without IT and OT working together.
I think that's just such a huge benefit that one team didn't have to lose control in order to see the benefits of the collaboration you were able to drive. It's clear that IT was able to experience the value of collaborating and it was willing to support reaching that singular goal that David had mentioned earlier on. It doesn't have to
Right
be
on.
kind of all or nothing, right? And then
Right.
switching gears a little bit, as we go to the next slide, now we get to the fun part, which is AI and what's top of mind. I know for a ton of people here today, and the survey was right along with that too. It said that for a lot of areas of the world today, it's the top of mind emerging technology. But as it relates specifically to industrial networks, Daniel, what are your thoughts on this?
Right. AI has come a long way in the recent past and continues to gain a lot of momentum in many different areas like software-defined networks, SD-WAN, SASE, cybersecurity, et cetera. But there have been drastic improvements in AI and machine analytics. One of the top developments we are seeing is companies like Cisco developing AI-enabled switches, routers, firewalls, and wireless access points. This means your devices are able to understand, translate, analyze that data, and the devices make recommendations based on their analytics. The possibilities there from there are really endless.
And another question for you, do we need to consider physical security at all? Like, how is the AI story we're hearing about impacting physical security?
Oh yeah, excellent question, Olivia. Camera manufacturers are developing, for example, enhanced analytics and AI into their IP security cameras, and Cisco Meraki is right up there. These cameras can be used in the industrial space to help maintain safety compliance. When we are talking about PPE regulations, area capacity restrictions, productivity analytics, and a lot more. That is what we have seen lately as companies are looking to improve not only their cybersecurity initiatives, but also their physical security and safety initiatives as well. We had a customer recently that was using AI camera analytics to help detect anomalies in their production environment and then send alerts to production personnel should a problem occur rather than having someone looking at their production line 24/7 or staring at a camera all day. Very interesting and innovative stuff.
I love that. Yeah, innovative for sure. And what a way to save some energy. I think it ties really well to the next slide, which is, historically a lot of OT data without machine learning and AI models was not leveraged fully. As we all know, it was kind of put into storage or was thrown away in some cases. And now that data suddenly is becoming very valuable to the entire AI and ML world, it seems to have a much larger need than ever before. So, David, do you see QC as the number one focus as to what OT data is used for from your perspective?
This is a great slide. This really resonates with me. Having been an end user before, this is one of the first questions an operational team who understands the importance of their process data will ask themselves. It's the means to the question, how do we do this better? I have experienced firsthand where accessible OT data was the catalyst that began a series of projects in quality control, OEE, operational equipment effectiveness, MES, which is manufacturing execution systems, and in the ERP.
Thank you. I agree. How we do this better and where do we go from here are absolutely top of mind, and it'll be fun to keep a pulse on this as we continue to go. Transitioning a bit further, Daniel, can you share a real use case on what this has looked like in your world?
Absolutely. I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. We had a customer, one of the largest food production plants in the US that we helped recently they were having an issue with legacy processes which were causing problems to ensure quality control in their production line. While their enterprise IT network was Cisco, their OT network was non-Cisco and a little bit outdated. We began with a network audit to address the legacy OT network issues, created a 5-year plan focused on the OT network transformation along with recommending SCADA upgrades. This resulted in a future-ready network where we were able to implement a Meraki solution embedded with AI and analytics to detect and or recognize those anomalies in their production environment, resulting in less downtime, fewer production interruptions, and less man hours spent trying to detect and locate those production issues. Their investment in AI helped to cut costs in several different areas, especially in downtime and man hours spent physically monitoring that production line. Instead, they now use AI and analytics to do that monitoring, saving them a lot of time and a lot of money.
We love to save time and money, and it's so cool to see that technology is already being used in meaningful ways. Super, super, super cool. So as we wrap up, um, on the next slide, the takeaways I think are pretty obvious at this point, right? Cybersecurity is a big deal. There's a lot of new regulations because there's a lot of exposed new attack surfaces with legacy connected devices and operational networks. So it's gotten a lot of attention, and I will say I think for the right reasons. The benefits of IT and OT working more collaboratively, which is helping with labor shortage or operational simplicity, or even reduce costs, are well documented. So a lot of people are spending time here. And then, of course, having a foundation that is ready for all the high value AI use cases is a really big priority for a lot of our customers. So with that, we'd like to invite you to ask your questions on what is top of mind for you. And please remember to download the report, which you can scan the QR code to do. I'll also just plug the survey that was positioned earlier on in the conversation. That'll be coming your way, and we'd love to hear more about what we could do better or differently, or other exciting topics. So if you'll please take a moment to do that. But looking at the chat really quick, our first question says, you briefly talked about the labor shortage that so many of us are facing in OT today. Can you expand on that a bit? What are some of the ways to combat this? Anyone want to take that one?
I can take this one.
Thanks, David.
This reminds me of my time as an end user. I was the only controls engineer for about 15 different rural operational sites throughout the state. Many of the facilities were 2.5 hours drive one way. It became apparent I needed to shorten my time to get on site, and what a better way than a secure remote access solution or a cellular VPN appliance, right? This later matured to jump boxes with credentials managed by our IT team. But I'm an OT guy. This is all about accessibility. And this is something we do for our customers. We want to talk through available hardware and software solutions to extend our customers' existing resources for talent and or time that may not be on hand. Revere is happy to step in the gap, which speaks to the need of picking and developing the right partners.
Thank you so much, David. Definitely resonate with that one for sure. Let me look at the next question. So here we have, can you touch on how you think of common architecture in the IT and OT space? I've always thought IT and OT architectures cannot be similar. Can you expand on that a bit? If anyone wants to take that one.
I'll go for this one, if you don't mind. This kind of resonates with me.
Sure.
While there are differences between the two, there are also quite a few similarities. The idea is that IT and OT need to understand, me personally, coming originally from the IT side of things, is that one, we're all on the same team here. We should all have a seat at the decision table. We're all working toward common goals, and they are, as David mentioned earlier, confidentiality, integrity, and access of the data, but also productivity, the bottom line. And I think that's something that we can all pretty much agree on. And from a control perspective, OT likes their autonomy. but there are ways to accomplish that using modern solutions that will give IT the security and visibility that they desire or that they require, while at the same time ensuring that OT has the productivity and the autonomy over their OT network without sacrificing network security. And finally, why reinvent the wheel? There is common architecture that is currently used on both sides of the house, and still more that each side can benefit from by standardizing their architecture. You know, the architecture that can be standardized, of course. If IT and OT can align themselves and both come to the table with solutions that benefit both sides, there can only be positive results that come out of that. For example, and I think we touched on this earlier, operational simplicity between OT and IT, sharing and network management tools and resources, scalability, more efficient deployment of resources, improved sustainability, cost savings, and a whole lot more. Bottom line here is that IT and OT really do need to work together. That's where that IT-OT convergence comes from, and I think that we are seeing a shift in that direction. I know that we at INS have seen that willingness on both sides. I think as Amr talked about earlier, to do exactly that more, especially in the last 3 years.
I love that. And again, I think the point being is that like it's not going to be black or white, right? We have to find that bridge to bring everybody together to have a seat and a voice at the table, and keeping that common goal in mind, I think will be really helpful as people try and partner together to figure out how to reach that again, that end point.
Definitely.
Thank you. Next question. I was very surprised with the argument against IT and OT convergence. You always hear about companies moving towards IT/OT convergence, but what are some additional benefits of maintaining separate IT and OT networks?
I guess I know I mentioned earlier the argument against IT/OT convergence, and I not sure if I'm ready to coin that term yet. No, I think the importance of IT/OT convergence is definitely strong. So thanks for asking that question. But I think at the same time, as David spoke earlier about this in this discussion, the goals of IT and OT are basically the same, yet their priorities are different, right? So because of that, it is important to maintain some degree of separation between the two. Firewalls on both sides, right? Controls, and just for the OT to have that level of autonomy over their network while still maintaining the security goals, the requirements that the IT side of the house is trying to obtain and maintain is just essential to continue to work together on similar yet a little different approach of their priorities.
Again, I think we're kind of saying the same thing as to what Daniel had shared, which is like working collaboratively does not mean taking over. And so finding that blend that's right for your team, your business, is ultimately, it sounds like super important, and may vary, right, as teams have different needs. So next question. We currently have Siemens, Schneider, Honeywell, ABB, and Rockwell devices and systems in our OT space on top of our OT managed network with switches, routers, APs, separated with firewalls. Are there ways to integrate these systems and manage those separate vendors on a single pane of glass?
I could take this one, Daniel.
Yeah, go ahead.
Add to it
Or
as
I
you
can,
see.
either one.
I mean, if we had a magic wand, right? This would really help all of us truly address a lot of our questions and concerns. Over the last, I don't know, 5-6 decades, you've had so many different systems come up and pop up in the OT space. So network management is always a pain for OT networks. So we talked about a little briefly earlier in the discussion. There are several network management solutions out there, and honestly, they just continue to improve, and some may say it's just not there yet. And so there are just several different management solutions that are working to make it even better. If you try to standardize on a brand throughout your network to manage the network equipment, it just makes life a little bit easier. So again, my personal experience, as again in the Cisco practice position here at INS, we've seen those new products come up from FND to IND, IoT dashboard. Then you've got the Cisco DNA Center, now Cisco Catalyst Center. You've got so many more tools and for visibilities in PLCs and other networking equipment, especially in the OT space. With cybersecurity, with cyber vision, you've got ICE integration that is also another fantastic tool providing insights into what's going on the OT and a full network visibility. And you can also keep an eye out on your networking equipment like switches, routers, firewalls. But it can also give you some visibility into some of the other systems that are in the OT space with Siemens, Schneider's, Honeywell, and Rockwell PLCs. Those devices are on the network. They're working together. Easier to have that approach to having a single pane of glass to monitor that and how well they're communicating with each other on the network.
I love that. Thank you. And it bleeds really nicely into the next question we got, which is all around kind of where to get started. So this one says, what are the first steps an OT team should take to identify vulnerabilities in their industrial network? Are there specific tools, frameworks, or collaboration practices with IT that can help kickstart a comprehensive vulnerability assessment?
Yeah, I'll take this one. We've done several network audits. That's the first place to start, I think, is to get that audit underway using tools like Cisco CyberVision. That works really well, helps OT to be able to give them some visibility into their network while, helping IT as well. It's kind of a catalyst that kind of helps bring those, no pun intended, brings both sides to the table. So definitely a network audit would be one of the first steps. And bringing both of those people to the table, showing what that network audit can do and to provide visibility to both sides. Starting the discussion between those two sides to be able to make a plan.
I could add something to that. The Cisco has a OT network assessment program as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So if you're working with a Cisco partner, if you're working with your Cisco account manager, you should ask that vendor and a partner to be able to leverage the Cisco OT network assessment program. It allows you to gather all the insights that you need in order to take the first step in your initiative, right? Just like if I needed to go and change a doctor, one of the first things they'll do is probably get some blood work and do some vitals and see where I'm at. You don't want to start prescribing things and activities before you can actually even see what the health assessment is. So network health assessment, similarly, it's a really good place to start. And Cisco does have a training program and partner enablement program that helps you put a plan together to build a plan forward and identify those vulnerabilities. So great question, whoever asked that. Definitely, please do go back to your partner and your Cisco account managers to see if you can leverage those resources to get a health assessment research analysis done.
I love it. Thank you. And as we wrap up today, I did want to ask each of the panelists, what are your final takeaways? What do you want to leave our audience here today with as it relates to all the great things we've talked about, whether it's security, IT/OT collaboration, AI, where to get started? Amr, I'm hoping I can start with you, but anything you want to leave the folks here today with?
Yeah, no, again, I mean, I think this is amazing to see a double-blind study from so many different countries and decision makers in the OT plant floor. And they didn't know that they were actually responding to Cisco or any specific company. And in their honest responses, there's so many things in there that are reaffirming and some good insights as well that are just continually pointing us in the direction to be a better support for being one of the services partners out there.
Yeah.
I think my one key takeaway would be, if you're working with your networks that are constantly improving and outdated or legacy in some ways, there's definitely start with a security assessment, a network audit, and health assessment to identify your priorities and work with your IT teams to help work towards those initiatives.
Thank you. I couldn't agree more. And then David, I'll come to you next. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I know I did this earlier, but I think it's a great tool to kind of to remember, the IT and the OT goals are the same, but they're just reversed. And so there is the ability to, shake hands and stack hands on similar ideas. Because like Daniel said, productivity is really what we're all aligned on.
I love that for sure. And Daniel, what about you?
Security. I think has been the main takeaway for me. It's and kind of echoing what Amr also said is really needing to start with that audit because it's kind of hard to make a decision on what you need to do with your network if you don't have a clear picture of it. So visibility is very, very important. To do that, you need to make sure that your network is audited. And there's some networks that we've come across that they've just put stuff in, haven't had an audit in a long time. They have no idea what's on their network, and it's very important to know what's on your network. If you don't know that there's a problem, how can you fix it, right? And so my takeaway for this is, and what I'd like to leave with everyone is make sure that you have visibility into your network. And like Amr said, get with your partners, get with your vendors, and do a network audit. Make sure that you can see what's going on, because that is really the first step in making sure that your network is secure and making sure that you can move forward. So yeah, that to me would be the first step, and the takeaway for me is very important to have that visibility.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Visibility is so important. I think we've done a great job touching on that one today in particular. We did have one, looks like maybe final question come in through Q&A. Would you agree that AI's upcoming prominence will mean increased cloud usage or cloud connectivity for OT? I'm not sure who wants to take this one.
I'll take this. So, kind of the opposite of cloud is edge, right? And so I think we don't really, the answer is yes, but I think it's yes in both cases. I think we're seeing, because of the interest and, the frequency and discussions around AI, I think we're just going to see a large volume of applications, both in the cloud and on the edge.
I would add to that I think that we're going to see a lot more of cloud management, but also I would agree with you, David, that edge intelligence. So I think I agree with you both.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think
For sure.
it's definitely seen as a disruptor, right? And while most of us are trying to make sense of what that looks like in our respective spaces and our roles, AI is only as good as the data that it can access. And so if you're not able to tap into your data lakes, then your AI is limited to whatever you have at the edge. So connectivity to your cloud and data centers, your data lakes, is going to be key to making your AI tools at the edge more and more future ready, to able to handle and predictive and new data sets that are coming out. So I think I'd agree. The answer is yes. There's a great deal of things that you could do at the edge, but as a disruptor, this is one of the things that we were expecting to see, that your connectivity to the cloud is going to have to be strong. Your access to your data lakes are going to have to be strong in order to be able to respond at the AI level with your edge factors and variables that we see.
Thank you so much. I, again, couldn't agree more with you guys. So for everyone here, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you found this session valuable. As we mentioned, there will be a survey coming your way. Would love your feedback. It does mean a lot. We love to comb through it. So thank you for being willing to do that. And as we shared, the recording of this session will be available to you shortly via email. So please be on the lookout. And Amr, David, Daniel, thank you so much for your time, your thoughts, your feedback today. Super appreciated, and audience, hope you found it valuable.
Absolutely, a pleasure.